Hi, everyone. I hope everyone had an awesome weekend. Over the weekend, I got to take my dog to the dog park, so she was able to play with other dogs, and I also made a lot of cookies for my neighbors and family. I wanted to make this video today because over the weekend, I also uploaded an assignment on Google Classroom. And if you weren't able to look at it yet, please take the time to go on Google Classroom and take a look at it. And if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me. The virtual field trip is or goes over slavery in New York, and it helps recognize how slaves were treated, how their lives differed than your own, and how individuals became abolitionist leaders who took action to end slavery in New York. And throughout the virtual field trip, I introduced the Underground Railroad and how it played such a significant role during that time. And throughout the virtual field trip, the Underground Railroad was brought up multiple times, but never really talked about in great detail. And just thinking about it, the Underground Railroad will be brought up in the future. So I just wanted to talk a little bit more about it and like what it was and how it plays such a significant role in history. So, the Underground Railroad was a really big help for the abolitionists, such as Harriet Tubman and Frederick Douglass, when helping escape slaves and help them become free. And you will read about it and explore all about that in the virtual field trip. But basically, the Underground Railroad was first encountered by Harriet Tubman as she used it for herself to escape and become an escaped slave. She traveled nearly 90 miles from Maryland to Philadelphia. After she escaped, Harriet Tubman became a conductor, where her and other conductors of the Underground Railroad knew exactly the right way to run the system, and that being able to run it so greatly and so secretively, they were able to lead so many slaves to freedom. These conductors who ran the trains, they were also known as freedom seekers. Freedom seekers only worked at nighttime. They never worked during the daytime because it was more likely that they would get caught. So they thought it was a great idea, which it was, to only work in the dark since they were less likely to get caught. And during the daytime, they spent their time resting and sleeping, so they were ready for the nighttime. And doing this and sleeping during the daytime, they were also less likely to get caught. So the Underground Railroad itself was very large. It ran through many different states and had many routes in every direction. Today, there are many historical sites, libraries, and museums that were once stopping points in or throughout the routes of the railroad. So these stopping points, which are now historical sites, museums, and libraries, were used for freedom seekers, the escaped slaves, and the conductors to get rest or food. So it's basically like a place for shelter. And back when the Underground Railroad was active and in use, it wasn't really known to the public due to what was actually happening and being done at the time. And if word obviously got out that people were helping slaves escape, there would be like a big stop because it's a no-no. And so therefore it was like super confidential and secretive. And so since it was so confidential and only known to a certain group of people, there now in today's world, there we don't really know like any really exact dates of like when the Underground Road was like existed and when it was like super active. We do know like general dates. We do know that it was sometime from the late 18th century up to the Civil War. So I hope that this mini video gives you guys a better idea of what the Underground Railroad was and what it did and how it helped slaves become escaped.